the host for now. And once again, you're welcome. We are still expecting more people. However, we can't keep waiting for them. So I'll just start so that we can proceed. And like I mentioned earlier, the reason we are here is for this course, how to deliver excellent customer experience. This is Rekrut, who we are. You must be wondering what the meaning of Rekrut is. Well, Rekrut stands for recruitment, coaching, HR consultancy, outsourcing, and also training. Rekrut Consulting is a human capital development company. Rekrut Consulting was established in the year 2012, and basically we are into 5 things: training, recruitment, consulting, outsourcing, CV writing, and also LinkedIn makeover. Our vision is to provide excellent human capital development solutions that create enabling business environments for productivity and profitability. And one of the key things that we emphasize on right here at Rekrut Consulting is the fact that we are tailored to provide solutions to our clients, to organizations, to brands all around us, and also to improve the life of people all around us. When you come for our training section, we expect to always grow the leader, to bring out the leadership in you and grow you, and also help you to grow, and also in a whole lot of way add to your skills, to your training, to your develop you and help you to progress career wise. Now, before I go any further, before I say anything, I would just like to do a brief introduction of our facilitator. His name is Mr. Ugochukwu Onyeka. So he's going to be the one facilitating for us today, taking us for our course, how to deliver excellent customer experience. He's a seasoned facilitator. I'm so sure. I'm very sure we are going to have a good time today, this morning. So I'll just briefly go through his profile. Mr. Gochukwu is a seasoned, in-demand management consultant, over 15 years of experience. His consulting experience across SMEs and blue chip companies. We also have him in government and also non-profits. It spans across corporate finance, corporate and personal taxation, financial reporting, corporate restructuring, HR, training and development, and also strategy consulting. Mr. Ogochukwu has served various clients within and outside Nigeria, Delta State government. Yes, he had a stint with Delta State government, Tom Associates, Edge Business School, Iris Consulting, Rights Management Consulting, LCL Coaching, and also Purpose Center. He also had a training section also at Beloxi Industries Limited, and a couple of other industries and organizations that he has participated in. So I'm so sure that he's actually ready for us here this morning. So I'll just quickly pass it on to him. Mr. Gochukwu, are you here, sir?
Okay, yeah. So,
all right, good morning, sir.
Can you hear me very clearly?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Great. So, just a second, let me set up. And
right,
please allow me to share my screen.
All right, great. That will be done right now, sir. Can you share right now?
Okay, let me try.
All right, please.
Okay, just a second.
All right.
Can you allow me share my whole screen? The rights you're giving me is allowing me just share a part.
Oh, so sorry about that. I'll work on that right now.
Okay.
Please try it right now. It should work right now.
Okay.
All right.
Let me just try that again.
Yes.
Okay, just a second.
All right.
Just a second. Let me activate the video. Okay, you're not allowing me share my video. There are a lot of restrictions you're putting me through.
Okay, I actually made you the host, so you don't have you should don't have any restrictions whatsoever.
Okay, but I'm not able to launch my video.
Okay. Let me check on that. Well, I just checked for my end. You should have full access right now. Mr. Onyeka.
Okay, just a second.
All right, great.
Okay, so I guess you can see me right now, yeah?
Yes, we
Kindly
can.
confirm.
Yes, we can. We
All
can.
right, great.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so I'll just share this. All right, so good morning, everybody. Just allow me just a second. I should be fine. We're good, right?
Yes, we have.
Can everybody hear me? Great. So my name is Ugochukwu Onyeka, like she said. I am a consultant. I've been doing consulting for about 17 years now. Okay, 15 to 17 years now. And I've been privileged to work with quite a lot of organizations. And besides that, the most prominent part of me at the point in time, that was between 2012 and 2016, thereabouts. Just in case you had heard my name before and you're wondering, okay, this sounds familiar. The name sounds familiar. I used to be a very troublesome person. I and my partner used to run an organization called My Customer and I. So what we used to do was we used to look for companies trouble. We are people that are passionate about service, all right? So we're very passionate about service, and what we do is we had a show on different radio stations. We had on Inspiration, we had Now on FM, we had Unilag, we had what other station was that? So we usually asked people to call in and complain. So if you were rendered a service and you didn't like the service that you were rendered, why not please call in and complain and we'll take care of that. So we had a lot of people calling in and then asking us, help me handle this, help me handle that. We had a legal team, we had everything, you know. So, but the only thing we did not have was money, all right? There was no money coming in. We didn't have any sponsors. We didn't have any, so it was being self-sponsored. And there's, especially in Nigeria, there's a limit to what self-sponsorship can do for you. I mean, you can sponsor yourself, you know, but it gets to the point where the bills start coming and the bills are very, So it gets to a point when the bills start coming, and then you now have to, decide that, hey, passion should hold on first. Let's pay school fees. Okay, passion doesn't pay school fees, right? All right, but then, so that is our experience. We traveled, we went from, as in, well, there were some people we had to, write to organizations. We had to travel a lot. We had to go to CPC, plenty of these places, just to help people solve their issues. So it was in the course of that, my stint, that my experience, that we discovered that, hey, customer care is a problem in Nigeria. Well, not just in Nigeria, but everywhere in the world, you know. So we started a campaign, and that campaign is this, putting the care back into customer care. So what you're going to have today is the first in a series of webinars that Rekrut is going to be having. So you just keep your ears open for the next session that I'll be having. So today we're going to be, in the next 30 minutes or so, or 45-minute stops, I'm going to try to finish whatever, because it's Saturday. I know you have weddings, you have some O1 bears and stuff like that you want to do. So yeah, I'm just going to be very fast. And then if you have any questions, we could talk about them at the end of the session. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to put up this quote. Now, if you see the quote that I'm sharing on my screen, it says, if you take care of your employers, they will take care of your customers, and your business will take care of itself. Now, this quote was said by J.W. Marriott. For those of you who travel a lot, this is the guy that founded the Marriott group of, the Marriott International, the group, Marriott Hotels and anything Marriott that you're hearing about. This is him. So he says, if you take care of your employees, they take care of your customers, and your business take care of itself. Business will be fine. So for him, the journey to care begins with the company deciding to take care of their employees, and then the employees in turn reciprocating management's goodwill towards them by taking care of their customers. Please, is this correct? I need somebody to just unmute their mics and just tell me, just 1 second, or just one person. We'll just take it up from there. Anybody? Banke, what do you think? Is this correct?
Yeah, definitely, I do. I really believe it's correct, because your customers, your employees are the ones. They are your very first, the very first contact your customers will get in touch with before they even get to reach you.
All right. Okay. Okay, great. Someone else wants to say something. Okay, go ahead, sir. Ogumodede, you want to say something? No. Ogumodede? Ogumodede. Okay, maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe you should meet him back here. All right. So the general consensus is that everybody, please mute Ogumodede so that he doesn't distract the class. All right. So the general consensus is that everybody thinks that you take care of employees, then they take care of customers. But this is it. This is Nigeria. And I'm not sure, because I've checked elsewhere too. It's not a Nigerian problem. This is what we've discovered. Most employees are not willing to take care of, most employers are not willing to take care of their employees. All right. So you have an organization where employees are treated anyhow. Now, what does that mean? That means there's going to be a disconnect between you, the employee, and management, and you and the customer. Why? You're going to be treating the customer the way you're being treated from your employer. Is that the right thing? Is that a good place to be? Because now we have established that most employers don't want to treat their employees right. In fact, let me give you my own story. I worked in an organization. We had a madam, who was head of operations, amazing woman. This woman taught me a lot about leadership, about coaching, about all that. In fact, she was one that discovered this speaking part of me to some extent, because she would always send me to meetings that I was not qualified to be. So she would just send me to go and represent her, So I was growing a lot. She taught me a lot. And then one day there was something that happened in my organization where I was working, and management decided to just rotate head of operations. Why? Because they thought, okay, this fraud happened because head of operations have been there for a while and stuff like that. So let's rotate them. So management decides to rotate all heads of operations. Now, that would have been a good thing. But the only thing is that um, that rotation was not, it was like a spur of the moment thing, because they believe that if we give them time to, okay, it was a bank actually, we had a lot of branches. So they just believe that if we give all these people time to say, let's transfer them maybe next week, next week, they will have time to all cover their tracks before the person that is coming to replace them comes. So they just say, okay, you know what, let's do it instantly. All head of operations, you are relocating. So they just transferred, they just switched everybody, all head of operations. Now, what did that do? It didn't give a lot of them time to prepare their handover notes. So what happened was that my outgoing head of operation, this woman I talked about, who was very amazing, sweet woman, had to give way for some other guy to come in. And then this guy was the devil's younger brother. I even think they are twins. I think they are twins. So now when this guy came in, the first problem he had was that he was okay, if you know the way banking cadres are arranged, at that point in time, there was the entry level, that was executive trainee. There was executive assistant, that was second level. There was senior executive assistant, that was the level I was on, third level. Then there was assistant banking officer, fourth. There was banking officer, fifth. Then there was assistant manager, sixth. Now I was on the third level, and the other guy that was just coming in to replace the outgoing head of operations was on the sixth level. He was assistant manager. So when he came in, the first problem was that because my former madam now that was going out had been carrying me around everywhere, asking me to do things for her and everything. So she felt that she didn't really need to prepare a handover note since I'm here. So she gave me to the guy as a living handover note. She just told the guy, say, you know what? There's no time to prepare a handover note. This guy here is your handover note. Anything you need to know, ask him. He will tell you anything, all right? So I didn't know this guy had problems with security. The first problem he had was, how can, somebody at his level be put to, how can somebody at the level be taking information from a third level officer? That was when my problem began. So I started scoring badly in my appraisal because we couldn't relate. I couldn't just come to bear with him. And so he would frustrate me. Sometimes when everybody is going home around, say, 7, 8, when you tell him you are going, that's when he will now tell you, I want us to balance books. So you bring your book, let's balance. That is 8 o'clock. I was working in Ikeja. I was living in Apapa. Those were two extremes with all the containers and everything, you understand? So I was frustrated. Naturally, I should take my frustration out on my customers. But then I had learned more than that you can't frustrate customers because of what your employer is doing. And you see, that takes me to the next step. I'm going to come back to this story. You see, that word customer care. In fact, one of the things I like doing is I like studying etymology. What is etymology? Etymology is the study of the roots of a particular word, how it was first used, when it was used, the history, the story behind the word, all right? I have a lot of stories about etymology of words, but I'm just going to keep you glued to this very one now that I'm going to show you. It's the etymology of the word care. Remember, this session is about putting the care back in customer care. So what is the history of this word care? When you see this word care, what does it mean? So if you type this into Google, this is what's going to come out. All right. What is the etymology of the word care? Because I got this from Google. It says that the origin of this word is what? German. All right. Old English. Now, if you look at it, it will tell you what these words mean from the origin. Look at it. The first thing it talked about care is karu, Old English, kara, Old High German. Now, do you see the meaning of those words that are showing there? One of the meanings of care means to grieve. Another one means to lament. Another one means to be sick. So, customer care, all right, is you grieving with the customer. you being sick with the customer. You be as in you look at those words very clearly. Look at them carefully. Because you see, we throw products at customers, we throw things at them, and then we hear them complain because something that we promised them will work did not work. Something that they bought, used their money to do, hoping that it's not working. So we hear them complain, we hear them cry, we hear them come to us. And that is what customer care is. Customer care is you attending to the customer. You are grieving with him. Do you get that? And that is why for customer care, the most important quality a customer care person should have are these two: sympathy and empathy. See, without these two things, you cease to qualify to be called a customer care person because you cannot grieve with the customer. You see, I go into some places, I just want to complain, maybe my ATM card is not working or something, and the person that is supposed to attend to me is playing solitaire. Do you understand? It means you're not grieving with me. You don't even care what I'm passing through. You are disqualified. You're not qualified to even stay there. And that's why one of the first things customers want from you is that understanding, that esprit de corps, that I feel what you're going through. I care about this. So sympathy and empathy equals to customer care. Now, like Theodore Roosevelt would say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I mean, I don't care that you say you are the biggest bank by profitability. I don't care that, have you, wait, the bank that you bank with right now, do you bank with them because they're the biggest bank by profit or they made the biggest profit? No, you don't care about that. Do you bank with them because all their MDs went to Harvard? No, you don't care about that. People don't care how much you know. They don't even care all the wash that you have been saying. You don't care all that. All that is nonsense to them. What they want to know is how much do you care about me? How much can you feel my pain? How much can you grieve with me when I have an issue? That's about it for customer care. So now look at it. If you are a person, would you want the employee treating your case to treat you the way his employer is treating him? You don't want that, obviously. So what that means is that as a customer care person, you have to stand like a shock absorber. You absorb whatever management is throwing at you and you just keep it behind you. And then treat the person, the customer, the way you ought to treat the customer. So that's why I said when a person, when customers are not being served right, guess who the problem is? The problem is you. You. That's why I say insert your name here. Because you as a customer care person are not supposed to, see, you're supposed to have trained yourself enough to ignore whatever is being thrown at you and not let the customer feel the brunt of what is being thrown at you. Why? Because the customer is coming, he doesn't even know how you relate to the boss, he doesn't even care about it. What he cares about is, I have a problem. Can you help me with it? Can you even feel what I'm feeling? And that brings me to sympathy and empathy again, because those two things are different words. Two different words. And you need both of them. What is sympathy? That word sympathy, sim, means to be able to go with, like together with. So sympathy means that you are feeling the pain of the person, as in you can feel what this person feels, either because you have had the experience before or something, or maybe because something, but you just feel a connection to the pain this person, as in the thing is paining you specially. All right, it's paining you especially the way this person is passing through what it is passing through. That's sympathy. What is empathy? Empathy, from the word em and pathos, Greek, is the ability to imagine, all right, the particular pain that the person is going through. That's what empathy is. Empathy has to do with thinking. Empathy has to do with projecting to even see, man, I feel this guy, I know what he's going through. So that's what empathy is. Empathy is, I know what you're going through. Sympathy is, I feel what you're going through. And as a customer care person, you need the two of them together. All right? So if you don't give that to the customer, the problem is not your management. The problem is you. And that's why this first series in this webinar is about how to fix you, the major problem. Because when we get you fixed, then we can now start talking about how to create experiences for the customer, right? So, how do you become a better person? How do you become a better customer care person? Very, very, very simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, because I've looked through a lot of literature on personal effectiveness and all that, but I still find that Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People is like the most comprehensive manual of personal effectiveness that I've read. There might be others that I've not read, all right? I'm not saying I've read all, but personally, this is like the most comprehensive. It's like the Bible of personal effectiveness. So this will help you become an effective person. It will help you become an effective customer care person. All right. So this is it. What did Steve Covey talk about in this book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Persons? The central theme of the book is this: whatever you want to do in life has to be created as a habit. We call a person a driver. Why? Because every day when he wakes up, he drives. He picks his car and he drives. That's what he does. He drives people around. We call a person a teacher because every day when he wakes up, that is what he does. All right. And that thing has become his habit. It's a habit. He just wakes up in the morning, even on the days that he's sick, he just knows that, hey, I have to do this thing. So something just pushes him and then he goes out doing that thing. So if you want to become an effective customer care person, if you want to become a customer care person that has the right mindset about customer care, that understands everything, right? Then there are some habits you need to pick. And habits do not just come from the blues. There is something called the habit continuum. This is how it works. Habits begin their journey from thoughts. It begins with you thinking that, hey, customers deserve better. It begins with you thinking, I am more than this. It begins with you thinking that, I should treat people better than how I am being treated. That I should not project the same anger that is being projected on me to the customer. And that takes me back to my story. So this guy was maltreating me and then doing whatever. And I decided, you know what, I've had it. I'm going to resign. But in the course of my work, there was this guy. I noticed that every day he came to our banking hall and then he wanted to withdraw maybe a check or something. Now, if you are very conversant with the Nigerian banking system, this is what you will notice. You would notice that sometimes a customer's mandate says confirm all checks. All right. That's what the customer's mandate says, confirm all checks. So this customer had his personal assistant come to the bank and his account was not domiciled in my branch. It was domiciled in another branch in the east. So his mandate said, confirm all checks. That means any check he draws that comes from his account officer must have to reach him to confirm. And because his branch is in the east, my branch was the closest to him. So he will come to my branch. We will call his account officer. His account officer will call the signatory. The signatory will now confirm the check. And then the account officer will now mail us back to say check is confirmed, pay, and like that. So sometimes the cycle is probably 30 minutes, sometimes it's 1 hour. In fact, on some days, like there was one day, the branch manager was, the account officer was in a meeting, all right? This customer's account officer was in a meeting in Enugu State, and he didn't pick his phones. So everybody was calling him. This customer sent his PA to draw a check. The check was about 35,000. So first 30 minutes, no response. Another 30 minutes, no response. 2 hours, no response. 3 hours, we couldn't still reach the account officer. I picked the check and I looked at it. 35,000. I asked myself, what's the worst that can happen? They're going to ask me if I confirm this check, because all customers, all signatories, their phone numbers are in the system. So I could always get it, call this customer and confirm the check myself, and then write an undertaking that I've confirmed the check, I've spoken with the signatory and stuff like that. So I decided, okay, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I would call the signatory myself and write the undertaking. What's the worst that can happen? It's 35K, I'll pay it. So some people used to call me busybody those days, but because they expected that with the way we were being treated from management, not even just my head of operations, some other places, some other persons up there, that we shouldn't treat, we should project the same annoyance, but not me. I'm trained beyond that. So that was what I did. I picked the check, called the signatory, and asked him what's up. And he confirmed to me that he issued the check and stuff like that. So he told me details on the check. Great. I just wrote the undertaking and passed it. They paid the guy. Now, the second time, as soon as the guy came back to the branch, that was the next 2 days to draw a check again. He didn't bother them downstairs to say, hey, I want to, he just came straight to me. I said, please, sir, thank you for the other time. Help me fast track it again the way you did the last time. I'm like, okay, great. I looked at the check, 40,000 naira. Again, I said, what's the worst that can happen? I called the customer, and then he confirmed to me that he issued the check. So as soon as I got the confirmation from the customer, I was like, okay, great. Now the customer now called me back later that day to thank me for fast tracking his transaction. And then to say, since that I am in Lagos, I can even come around to come and visit him, you know. I just didn't bother. I just like, no, you know what? I'm fine. I'm fine. The third time, as he sent out his check, in fact, he decided to come with the guy to say, let me see this guy that has been, you know. So when I saw him, he was an old man. He was a veteran, as in, he was probably like 73, 74. He was bent, he was aching, and yeah. So as soon as I greeted him, and he was like, thank you very much. You have been making my life very easy, you know. And so we became friends. He told me I should, why not? I should just come around now, come to his house or his office, and then I said, no, 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 sir, I'm fine. Can just be talking about the phone. Bank work does not allow us to do any other thing, you know. So long and short of the story, we continued this. I continued to confirm his transactions and everything. And then I decided that it was time for me to leave. So I sent in my resignation. And please, if you're here and you're still employed in an organization, please talk to HR before you leave, before you resign. See, there are a lot of HR policies that are not written in your handbook, and I'm going to be very straightforward with you. This is it. So every year, there's this thing called profit sharing, which they paid us in my bank then. And they pay it at the end. Okay, this is it. Our financial year end was December 31 then, and the audited report comes out at around, say, end of March, April. Then they declare dividends, declare everything that they want to do and all that, and they call for general meeting. So when a staff resigns before December 31st, he's not entitled to profit sharing. But if you resign after December 31st, it means you completed the financial year end. Whatever profits that the bank made, they divide some portion and give to employees, and then they share it among themselves. So at my level that time, my own profit share was about 1.5, all right? So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm going to target my resignation and target it in such a way that by the time I'm resigning, I will have that, you know, then I'll have other things, you know. So I just looked at it. I had not really been saving because there were a lot of things I was attending to at that point in time. And by the time I was resigning, April, that was April 2011 or so, I had just like 300K, right? 300K. So, no, 350K, that was a 350K. So in my mind, I was like, okay, you know what? I'll just use this 350K to hold my side as and just keep it down first. Then wait for my payments, my check to come in. You know, I have profit share, I have my health insurance, I have this other check, I have this check, I have this. So in my mind, I was seeing like 3 million or 3 point something. So I was just waiting, okay, once they call me to come and pick my check, my various benefits, I'm going to just use it to do the right thing and everything. Now, so I was already looking for offices, checking out places and everything. Around June or July 2011, they called me. They sent me a letter first to say, my check is ready. I should come and pick it. In my mind, I wanted to say, which bullion van, which bullion company can I use to go and carry this, my mega check? So I got there and went up to HR department and told them, yeah, I'm here to pick my check. If you see the gate, the arrangement said that I arranged myself, you know, to carry my heavy money. So when I got there, they brought the check to me, and then they presented it. Here, sir, here's a check. Sign for us here. So before I signed, I just took the check and looked at it. Now, guess how much I saw on it? Guess, just guess. Somebody guess. Okay, this is how much I saw on it. 17,322 naira to kobo. Now, in my mind, the first thing that came to me was there's a mistake. 17,000, 3 million. How do they relate? How? And no, this can't be, this can't be. So I checked with the person. I said, sorry, lady, there must be a mistake, right? She looked at it. There's no mistake. The letter gave you a breakdown of everything. So I picked the breakdown and I started looking at it. The first thing they told me was that, I told you I resigned in April. So before I resigned in April, not just, I gave them 1 month notice. I sent in the notice April 13 to resign May 27. So over 1 month notice. So as I gave them that notice of resignation, I decided to take my whole 20-day leave for that year. And I applied for it. And HR approved the leave, 20 days. So when I went for the leave, I looked at the reports and they debited me for how many days, as in for about 8 or 10 days back. They said it's back, unqualified leave, something. That was the words they used. And in my mind, I was like, wait, what is this debit? Then they asked me, they said, whenever you are resigning before half of the year, you are not entitled to your 20 days. You're only entitled to a maximum of 12 days. But actually, what you should get is 10 days. But your maximum, if you want to be kind and stretch it for you, is 12 days. So for taking these 20 days, we are debiting you back for the number of days. I said, okay, no problem. Where's my medical? And they said, we moved everybody to HMO. So it's now use it or lose it, because before, it's when you don't use it, at the end of the year, they pay it back to you. So I thought my own was accumulating, because as they were not paying it, I was like, okay, it was accumulating. Nobody advised us. Nobody sent us a message to say this was what was happening. So that's when, since we're not in the handbook, they were not in the handbook. Then the third debit was the profit sharing. They said I was not entitled to it. But I did the whole financial year now. Did they put in the handbook that you must stay like another 6 months, before? They didn't put all that. So they knocked that off. They knocked my prepaid housing. By the time they finished knocking, in fact, the lady now told me, you're even lucky that you have something to take home. And I'm like, 17,000, something to take home. That HR was on the 4th or 5th floor then. And to be frank with you, it was very attractive to just open the window and just jump from the window. Why? Because that 300K that I was banking on, 350K, my rent was due in June. So I just quickly used it to pay rent with the hope that my check was coming. I didn't have any cash again. In fact, the money I used to go to the bank that day to go and take the check, I borrowed it. So, and I borrowed with the intent that, okay, you know what, when I come back, I'm going to 17,000. What is it going to do in my life right now? And coupled with the fact that I'm going to have a drop in my livelihood, I'm going to have a drop in my standard of living. I'm going to, as in everything was just going to fall apart in front of me. So it was very attractive, like I was telling you, to just open the windows from that 4th floor and just jump to my death. And I just told myself, no, it should not happen. We'll find a way around it. So I came back. Obviously, let me spare you the story of the suffering, because I suffered. When I say suffer, I suffered. Because some of my colleagues are telling me, don't resign. So I couldn't even now go back to them to beg, because I made them know that I know what I was doing. So the shame of going back to them, so you don't tell them, I borrowed me this, just so. And if you're a banker, you don't have another life apart from your immediate circle of colleagues. That was my problem, So I had my immediate circle of colleagues who were the only people in my life and who I could not go back to talk to beg them. So there was I. Now, what did I do from there? I just decided to start going from place to place, submitting proposals, begging people, if you have a small, because I didn't want to go back into paid employment like that again. you know. So I started doing proposals, sending stuff. I trekked the whole street of Lagos. And then after like 1 year of trekking without results, one day I was just in my house and my phone rang. It was this chief that I used to confirm his checks. When this chief called me, he told me, Ugo, you left the bank. You didn't tell me. I was like, I'm sorry, sir. But when I was leaving, there was another of my colleague that I begged because I had didn't meet the chief. So I begged, always confirm this guy's check. So he was like, when the this other of my colleague was confirming his checks, he didn't bother. Sorry, please help me, admin. Please help me mute everybody. Please help me mute everybody. Sorry, don't distract the class. So this my colleague was always confirming Chief's check, and then Chief was not, Chief was not calling me. So one day, sorry, just give me a second. Let me mute this person.
They said they will not implement it. So what change are they bringing?
Okay, so I've muted the person. All right. So, what? Just a second. Just a second. Okay. So that day, Chief called me. I said, Ugo, you resigned from the bank and you didn't tell me. You just left. I'm like, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir. So he asked me, what are you doing now? I said, I do consulting. He said, what kind of consulting? I told him. He said, I've been looking for a consultant since. Can you come to my office tomorrow? I'm like, okay, I'm coming. So tomorrow morning, first thing, I was already prepared. I'd hit the road. I got to Chief's office. Remember, I was broke. I was in debt. I was owing. I had not made my first money as a consultant. So I was flat out. Again, I had to borrow to go to Chief's place. So when I got there, he told me what he wanted to do. And then he asked me, how much are you going to pay? How much are you going to bill me? Now, imagine somebody that for the past 1 year has not seen 10K or 15K of his own. You understand? My mind was already damaged. See, and that's why I tell you, see, the bad thing about poverty is not what it does to your pocket. If poverty leaves you at what it does to your pocket, you are fine. You are just broke. But when it gets to your head, that's when it becomes poverty. So by that time, the poverty had gotten to my head. I was now thinking poor. I was now thinking, so something in my mind just say charge him 50K. I was seeing the enormity of the work that I had to do, but something just told me charge him 50K. If you charge him 100K now, you now say he's not doing it again. Right? Inside my mind, I don't know what happened, but all I just know is that something just pinched me and I said 1.5 million. I wanted to slap myself when the word came out. He could see the shock on my face. And you know when you tell somebody something, I will shock you. So I'm sure he could see the shock on my face. He now asked me, 1.5? I said, yes, sir. He said, okay, 1.5. Okay, no problem. We'll do 1.5. I nearly, see, my heart sank inside my stomach. I nearly dropped there. And then he said, okay, you know what? I'm going to, this is how I'm going to pay. I'm going to pay in tranches per deliverable. So for this deliverable that you want to do now, I'm going to give you a check of 250,000. So he wrote the check, gave me from his office there. I went out straight and went to the GTB on Allen Avenue. As soon as I gave the guy the check, I was, in fact, because I had to confirm that this thing is not a fraud or a dream. I had to handle the money physically. And, so as soon as the guy counted the money and gave it to me and I held it in my hand, tears began to drop. Some people did not understand what was happening. Because, why is this guy crying? I just cleaned my face, put the money in my purse, and then I moved. Now, if I had not been taking care of this guy before, I probably would not have this breakthrough. And it was in the course of doing that his job that I started meeting other people who you do this? Yes. Please, Chief, refer this person to me. This was, before you knew it, because when you walk in the circle of the wise, you become wise. So the circle the chief was operating on was a circle of big men. And he was one that owned one of the major hotels in Ikeja, as a major hotel in Ikeja. So I didn't even know because he told me, come to this hotel to come and meet me. I thought this man that is asking me to come to a hotel to come and have meeting, I hope he's not one of these scam people, But I noticed that when I got to the reception, And I told them, my name is Ugochukwu. I'm here to meet so and so person. The way they greeted me, the way they treated me, the lounge they took me to, the kind of things they served me meant that I was now wondering, who is this person? It was when he came, I asked him, sir, you own this place? He laughed. He said, yes. You understand? So because if you looked at his account those days, and that's another thing that is one of the fallacies in customer service. They call it customer lifetime value. A big fallacy. There is nothing like that. Because what the customer lifetime value says is, look at the customer, gauge what he can do over his lifetime and decide whether he's worth it or not. That's nonsense, as an arrant nonsense, like this guy was saying. You know, so what was there in an old man that was bent, that was, probably very feeble, and in his account with us, he was just doing like 100K, 150K. See all the checks they were coming to draw, 35K, 40K. What lifetime value are you going to assign to that kind of a person? But I did not know it was because of the stress of transacting with his account officer. He didn't use Zenith for his major transactions. All right, so he was using his other banks for his major transactions. So that was what happened. That was what happened. By the time I was done, my life had changed. My life had changed. It was because of a decision that I made to say, hey, I'm not going to treat the customers the way I'm being treated by management. And that was it. So it began with a thought. That thought gave birth to my actions. And then my actions, when an action is done repeatedly, becomes a habit. Like they say, anything you do 2 times becomes easier. And from the habit, it becomes a character. It becomes who you are. So from a character, it becomes your destiny. As in, every morning, you just can't help it. You just wake up and this is who you are. This is what you do. What Steve was saying is that, see, nobody just lands at a destiny, drug addicts. No, it began with a thought. Oh man, what if I just, and then that thought better than action. Guy, make a 50 you now. You know how they call it? Make a 50 you. 50 means to let's share. It's a guy, let's make a 50 you now. So the guy gives him to 50. Now that 50 becomes sweet. Just like, man, this thing good. So tomorrow he's targeting the guy again. Guy, make a 50. It now gradually becomes a habit. From that habit, it becomes his character, and then it becomes a destiny. So, what are we saying this morning? Very simple. You would need to make up your mind consciously to imbibe some certain habits. These are the habits that will help you become an effective customer care person. They will make you become a good human being and a good customer care person. And we're going to run through the 7 habits in the next 10 minutes. I'm going to try to finish that in the next 10 minutes. I don't know how much time I have left, but I'm just going to, wow, my time is fast spent. So there's something Steve Covey calls the maturity continuum. If you look at your screen, you'd see 3 ladder rungs inside that circle. The first level is called the level of dependence. That's the level where everybody starts from. That's the level where every child that is born into the world starts from that level of dependence. Every person, every person, whether you're a professional or not, when you enter the labor force, you start from there. What happens at the dependence level is simple. At that dependence level, you are not responsible for yourself. At dependence level, you are irresponsible. Everybody is the reason for your problem. Everyone is the reason for your problem. All right? That's what happens at dependence level. Everyone is your problem. So you keep pointing blames at people. You keep pointing blame. You are the one that did it. It's because my boss did not treat me right. It's because my company did not pay me. It's because my company did not do it. It's because they did not give me my leave. It's because they did not. So at that point, you are blaming everybody but yourself. That's what happens at dependence, because you depend on them. Your mindset tells you that the result that you get depends on these people. If they don't treat you well, I cannot do anything. All right. And that is the lowest level of life that you can exist in. That's the lowest level of life. So in order to move from that low level of life to the next level, which is called independence, there are 3 habits that you must imbibe. These 3 habits, the first one is habit 1, is be proactive. The second habit is habit 2, begin with the end in mind. And then the third is habit 3, put first things first. These 3 habits, when you imbibe them, you will be able to break through that barrier and move from dependence to the next level, which is called independence. And when you do this, because these things are, like they say, you can't change the world until you change yourself. These are private victories in the sense that you have conquered yourself. Now you are ready to conquer the world, all right? So when you move from private victories, you get to the next level, which is independence. But again, independence is not the high point of human existence. Why? Because at independence, you have built yourself. You know yourself. You can do without everybody. In your mind, you can do it alone. You don't care about people. Again, like John Maxwell will say, one is not a number that achieves anything great. There is no great thing in this world that has been done by one person. It must be an individual working in concert with a group of like-minded people that achieve anything great. So how do you now work with, how do you even learn how to work with like-minded people so that you can get to the highest level of life, which is called interdependence? Because at that level, you get to know that, hey, I cannot do this alone. I need other people. That's why interdependence is the highest level. You see, at dependence, you are pointing at people. You are the reason, you are the cause. At independence, you are pointing at yourself. I can do it alone. I don't need you. I don't, But at independence, which is the highest level, interdependence, you are talking about we. How can we work together as a team? Because you know that I alone cannot get the results that I want to get. So what are the habits that you would need to do for you to be able to break in and break that barrier? They're called public victories. Habit 4, which is think win-win. Habit 5, which is seek first to understand before being understood. And habit 6, which is to synergize. By the time you do this, the victory you have won when you imbibe this habit is called a public victory. Why? Because you have now conquered the world. So you are now ready to get to that level called interdependence. And the 7th habit circles around, is the habit that you must keep doing every point in time, whether you're at the private level or the public level, whatever. You must keep doing this, and it's called sharpen the saw. Why? Because, okay, when we come there, we'll look at it. I'm just trying to run through this in the next 5 minutes because my time is up. So let's talk about the private victories first. What's the first private victory? Now, these 7 habits of a highly effective people is like a 1 day, 2 day, full day training, all right? So I'm just trying to run through this. That is not the whole thing, the whole story about it. You can get the book and read for yourself, and then it will really help you. So the first habit is be proactive. Proactive means you should major on your circle of influence. Proactive means that you decide that you will not wait for. It was Da Vinci. Now, if you have read my profile, many people that read my profile get angry with me. They're like, how can you, only you do accounting, only you did HR, only you work in strategy, only you did this one, you do taxation, you do all this. How can you? Now, initially, when I was going to start my career, I was having that doubt about myself, but something tells me that I should not stop at one. But then I did not. The world was telling me specialize. The world was telling me, but something inside me was telling me, no, don't specialize. Go broad as a management consultant. So I talked with my mentor. I was like, sir, this is what my mind is telling me that I should go broad. He said, yes, you're right. Go broad. If he had discouraged me, I probably would have been discouraged. But he told me, go broad, go ahead. So I decided to go broad and, read wide and become a well-rounded management consultant, because my mentor always told me that management consulting has 4 legs. In fact, everything in business has 4 legs: people, processes, finance, and strategy. That once you can get these 4, a business is standing on a solid ground. So I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to learn about these 4 legs and I'm going to professionalize them so that at any point in time, I can, be whatever I want to be, without any limitations. So I saw the people in the world trying to put me in a mold, all right, to say, hey, guy, you have to do this. No. But there was one particular guy that I liked. His name was Leonardo da Vinci. Da Vinci was one guy that they told that he couldn't excel in every field. And he told them, let's do this. So he went into art, he excelled. He went into business, he excelled. He went to do this, he excelled. He went into everything. Now, at the end of that, they used him as a standard for somebody that can go into anything and excel. And they started calling that kind of person a name. The name is what? Polymath. Poly, M-A-T-H, math. So they now discovered that it's actually possible that somebody can be in different fields and succeed. So that was my kind of person. And I started reading a lot about Da Vinci. One of his favorite quotes is this. He said, it has come to my knowledge that men of substance do not sit back and wait for things to happen to them. Rather, they went out to happen to things. That is what being proactive means. It means you're going out to happen to things. You don't sit back and absorb the pressure. You don't sit back and absorb. You decide ahead what you want. And then when life is throwing you things, you are using the picture in your head to rearrange the curveballs that life is throwing at you. That's what being proactive means.
Sorry, Mr. Ago.
So you major on your circle of influence. I can't talk about circle of influence and circle of concern now because of time. I'm rushing. The second is to begin with the end in mind.
Mr. Ago, can you hear me? Sorry for cutting you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, you have 25 minutes more.
I can
you have
hear
25
you.
minutes more.
I have
25 minutes more.
Interesting. Okay. So the second is begin with the end in mind. So what does this say? Very simple. This one says, hey, think about what you want to achieve. Think about the results you want to get with customers. See, those days, I used to sit back and then project. It was one of the first activities I did when I got to the office. I sit down and I project how I will relate with customers. I project the kind of response I want the customers to have when I discuss with them. I project the kind of appraisal I want to get. That's what I do. Then I have it as my mission. So when you do that, then you can plan things out. All right. You can better know what end you want to achieve and how you can turn the lemonade that you're facing into lemons to take you to that end. This is where things like visualization come. This is where affirmations come in. Like they say, everything in life is created 2 times. The first creation in the mind of the creator. The second, when it's exposed. I remember the story of Walt Disney. Walt Disney was, the great Walt Disney cartoon guy. Before he founded Disneyland, he called his wife and then got a parcel of land. It was full of grasses, bush, as in heavy bush, all right? So he told the wife and a couple of associates, this is where Mickey's this will be, this is where this will be. If you saw him pointing at the place, you think he had an architectural plan. No, there was no architectural plan. It was all in his head, but he was just sharing the vision with his team. So eventually, before the Disneyland came to fruition, Walt died. Now, this was what happened. His wife and the team continued with the dream until it came to fruition. When the stuff came to fruition, sorry, let me share my screen again. I don't know why that thing went off. Okay, so as soon as Disney World came into being, this was what happened. The day they were commissioning it, somebody came around, the man that was speaking, as he was presenting a speech on the commissioning, and he was like, this is such a great idea. It's such a great investment, but I am sad that Walt Disney was not around to see this. The wife raised his hand. Sorry, sir. Walt Disney saw this before he died. In fact, it is because he saw this that we are here. That is visualization. That is affirmation playing out. So you learn how to visualize. See, let me not go into that visualization. Let me go into the next thing, which is putting first things first. You see, everything you're going to do in life, all right, is tied to 2 things: your role and your goal as a person. I'm going to explain this in the next 1 minute. I'm going to try. Now, every day when you wake up, all right, when you wake up by, say, 4 a.m., between 4 a.m. and let's say you leave the house at 6 a.m., what is your role? If you are married that time, your role is that of a father, a husband, a family man. If you are single, your role at that time is yourself, all right? Taking care of yourself, that's your role. Now, from 6, I leave my house and then I go to work. So let's assume I work in Chevron as an accountant. From that 6 a.m. that I leave my house till 6 p.m. when I sign out at Chevron, my role is accountant. By 6 p.m., as soon as I drive up Chevron gates, my role switches to maybe if I have a church that I'm, so my role switches back to maybe church or stuff or meeting or whatever. And then I get home by 8. But these days when everything is virtual, so let's say I get home by 6, 7, 8, thereabout. My role switches back to father or whatever it was if I'm single. This is it. One of the things that makes you ineffective as a human being is when you don't understand your role per time. Because if you don't understand your role, you are going to have a role crisis. You will end up doing something that belongs to another role in the time you should be doing something that belongs to the role you belong to. So if you are an accountant from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m., and that is the time you want to attend PTA meeting, or you want to go and hang out, or you want to do that, you're going to have a role crisis because everything that is supposed to be done at that point in time will be waiting for you and you'll be suffering. If at 7 or 8 p.m., when you're supposed to be a father, you are now doing Chevron work, guess what will happen? You are going to be effective as a Chevron staff, but you're going to be a very poor father. Your role is now suffering at that point in time. The moment you can understand your role per time, understand what you're supposed to be doing at every point in time, and ensure that you stick to those boundaries, that is when you are said to have work-life balance. Because work-life balance is about you balancing your roles together, right? So, if you want to be an effective customer care person, it means that you must be balancing your roles out very well. Because once there's pressure in the home front, most times it will translate to work, most times it will translate back to home, like that. Your life will be a roller coaster. I don't want to go into this in much details, but I'll save you the gist because I don't really have time. Now, that now gives birth to time management because your role and your goals, this thing determines two things: what is important and what is urgent. Your role determines what is important in the sense that your role determines this is the thing that has an, see that word importance there means to have an import on something. What does it mean to have an import on something? It means to have a bearing, to be directly responsible for a result you are trying to achieve. So when we say this thing is important, it means that this thing is a key result area that we must achieve in order to achieve whatever results that we're trying to achieve. That's what an important thing is. So your role at every point in time will determine, hey, this is important, this is not important. If by 12 a.m. somebody calls me, sir, we're having inter-house sports, and I am in Chevron that time, my role lets me know that, hey, I can't leave Chevron to go and be doing inter-house sport. Inter-house sport is not important at that point in time. All right? It might be urgent. Sir, your children are crying now. They would have wanted to see you. But is it important at that point in time? Is it? Does it contribute to what my role at that point in time demands? Do you get? And that's one of the major problems that most customer care people that I have seen have, because they don't understand how to juggle their roles a lot. That will come more in other sessions that we'll talk about. And your goals now determine what is urgent, because goal setting basically is setting priorities and rates of urgency on how you want to attend to some of these key result areas. So your roles determine what is important, your goals determine what is urgent. Now, these two things determine how effective you are with your time as a person. Look at this. General Eisenhower, was a former US general, says that everything that human beings are going to do are going to fall into these 4 quadrants. And these 4 quadrants are based on these 2 things, urgency and importance that I just explained, depending on your role and your goals. So the first quadrant is the quadrant that is called the quadrant of necessity. That's the quadrant you're seeing now. What is the quadrant of necessity? You see, in this quadrant, it's also called the quadrant of crisis. Everything here is urgent and is important. It's urgent and it's important. Why? Because there are deadlines, there are emails, there are emergencies, there are things that you need to resolve immediately, there are things that you must do now that hasn't that. And if you work in a bank or you work in some other companies, most times this is how your life is going to be. Everything is at crisis point. The average banker is always at crisis point. That's why many of them die of heart attack or stroke or something at a very young age. The average person is at crisis point because a mail will just come in, urgent. As the mail comes in, just okay. While you're trying to attend to that, another one, urgent. There's another call, another customer. Everything is urgent and is important. Now, this is the worst quadrant to be in. Why? Because it impacts on your health, impacts on your life, impacts on your productivity, impacts on everything that concerns you. Now, the second quadrant is called the quadrant of leadership and quality. It is in this quadrant that everything here is not urgent. Urgency means that you must do it now, if not, something will spoil. All right. But they are important. Important means that they are key germane activities you must do if you want to achieve a particular result. All right. So these things that are classified as not urgent means that, yes, they are not urgent. They are not like I must do them now, but you must plan them into your day, every day of your life if you want to be effective. Let me give you an example. I used to run a logistics business sometime earlier, but I had to close it because it was very demanding, highly demanding. Now, I discovered that there was one of my logistics riders, it was a bike rider, all right, great guy. But then that morning, I noticed that he was not at work. And we had already scheduled deliveries. And other bike riders have gone out with their own stuff, just waiting for this guy. So I called him. He didn't pick. It was around past 7 or to 8 because they resumed very early. It was around to 8 that he called me back. I was like, Oga, I'm sorry I missed your call. Oga, no be small thing. I was like, what happened? Did anybody die? Was anybody ill or something? So Oga, no be so. Oga, rain enter my house. If you see my house water everywhere. No pick come on one thing. So I told him, you know what, come to the office, let's discuss once you're done and you've settled yourself. Can you come now? He said no, that he has to sort. So I had to start looking for alternatives. In fact, there were some of them I had to deliver, some of those goods I had to deliver myself. That's why I told you it's very intensive. It was taking my time. So at a point in time when I didn't see any strong hand to manage it because I tried and I didn't get, I had to close it up. So when the guy eventually came to the office, he was looking on haggard. I asked him something. I said, how rain take enter your house? He said, Ghana through the roof. The normal me would have said, oh, hey, yeah. But then something within me just say, ask him this question. So I asked him, rain, the breeze carry your roof. I'll be waiting up. He said, okay, no carry my roof. Now leak the thing, the leak. Okay. I asked him, wait, the leak starts from one place, Abi. You put bucket. He said, yes, sir. After one, it changed to 2 hole. You still put another bucket, Abi. He said, yes, sir. The same big where you put buckets. Every time you will change the bucket, say, yes, sir. Now, because you did not attend to the leak when you were supposed to attend to it, when it was giving you signs, when it was not urgent, but it was important, you didn't take care of the leak until the day the rain became heavy and the impact of the rain dented your roof till it removed it and water soaked everywhere. So now every of us are suffering because you did not do your quadrant 2 activity when you were supposed to do it. So all of us now are in quadrant 1, including me. And that's how it is. Because in life, you wake up in the morning and then you head to the office without planning most times, without even thinking, without even trying to set boundaries, without even trying to set targets for yourself. Because these are all the things that happen in quadrant 2. In quadrant 2, you do a lot of scheduling, a lot of planning. Why? Because you know the things that are important to you. And now they are not urgent, but you are scheduling it. Okay, this roof is leaking. I have to fix it today. Quadrant 2 activity. You don't wait. In fact, General Eisenhower says that anybody that does not focus in quadrant 2, his life will always revolve in quadrant 1. Why? Because he doesn't pay attention to the things that are important when they are not urgent. And as long as your life keeps remaining in quadrant 1, you will never be effective as a person. All right. So the third quadrant is called the quadrant of deception. And this is the quadrant where you talk about things like disruptions, emails, calls, and all that. You see, these things are urgent, but they are not important. Important in the sense that, number one, they do not contribute to your role at that point in time. I have a friend in my office and stuff like that. Then, many years back, he might just come, Ugo, help me do this transaction now, beg. I want to go and do this thing. You see, that transaction has no bearing on my goal for the year, for the day itself. It doesn't have any bearing on my person. It doesn't have any bearing on my job description, but it's urgent. Now, what I used to do when I was not learned and when I did not understand life was that I would just say, okay, I want to please this person. So I will take his transaction and add it to my own. At the end of the day, it will put a strain on me, a strain on the resources that I have, both the time and the energy, to be able to do my own important work while I've been attending to things that are unimportant. Quadrant 4 is even the worst part. It's called the quadrant of waste. That's where you have websites in like KG and Co, Bella Niger, what do you call them? Naira Land. That's where you have reading and gossiping and Chelsea for life and Baka for life. You know, these arguments that are not going to take you anywhere. In fact, I had one guy then, after every weekend like this, you know, weekend is match day. So after every weekend, or maybe any day they play Champions League, the first 1 hour of the next working day is for football. So they must discuss Drogba, they must discuss this Messi, they must discuss everything for 1 hour before work starts. So the person is starting work on the back foot. And if you're not careful, you will co-opt you into his discussion. That's the quadrant of waste. So this is what General Eisenhower suggests. He says, for anything that is urgent and important, it's already a crisis. Attend to it at that point in time, but don't make sure that your life as a person, as a customer care person, does not revolve around this. Because sometimes, because you're not proactive, there are some things that you wait till they go bad before you start dealing with. So you just discover that you come to office that day and there's just crisis everywhere. This customer, they want to kill me. They want to. It's because you have not been planning. So do the first thing you should do first, the things that are urgent and important. The second thing you should work on then are the things that are important, but they are not urgent. You schedule it, you plan it, plan how you want to do it. Plan time for it, plan what you're going to kick out of your day to be able to get these things done. The third is the things that are urgent but not important. See, they are urgent but not important. Like that, my friend's work that he's giving me, delegate it to somebody else. So if I must accept it, I will start look for another junior officer and say, okay, hey, this I want you to do this for me. Or I will just tell him, sir, I cannot do it. Why not talk to this person? All right. Then the last one, which is not urgent and not important, you must avoid by all means. As in, you avoid it like a plague. You can see it's in red color. All right. So when you have conquered yourself in those 3 dimensions, you are set to have private victories. Now, we'll go to public victories because that's the next level of victory. Every human being has something called an emotional bank account. An emotional bank account means that it's just like a regular bank account. You make deposits, you withdraw. You make deposits, you withdraw. So in a human's emotional bank account, this is what it looks like. Withdrawals are things like breaking promises, being unkind, violating expectations, disloyalty, and all that. Those are withdrawals. Deposits are things like keeping promises, you know, kindness, courtesy, and all that. When you do all that, you are depositing. Now, like a regular bank account, your emotional bank account operates the same way with 2 rules. Number 1, you can only withdraw what you have deposited. You cannot overdraw. Which means that if you don't do kindness to people, don't expect kindness in return. That's how many people operate. And you have to understand that humans are at that level. And number 2 rule, which is most important, is that you might have been making deposits, but one day you will make one withdrawal that will clean the whole deposit you have made. So you think you have been buying gifts for this person, you think you have been treating this customer right, you think you have been treating this staff right, until one day you make one withdrawal that will clean all the goodwill you have built. And that's why you need to be very, very careful with the emotional bank account of the people you deal with. So how do you deal with this emotional bank account thing? Those are the habits 4, 5, and 6. So let's look at habit 4. Habit 4 says think win-win. What is think win-win? You see, these are the paradigms of human interaction. These are the paradigms of human negotiation. Every human being you meet wants something from a transaction that you are having with them. So a customer comes and the customer says, hey, I want to change my ATM card. I want to do this. I want to do that. Now, at that point in time, that's a human interaction you're having with the customer. The customer is going to make some demands. And sometimes that demand is going to contradict policy or going to contradict something or even contradict your personal comfort. You have 6 choices. The first choice is called win-win. What happens in win-win is that you're thinking about how you can win and how the customer can win. You're thinking about how we can make this thing good for 2 of us, how all of us can enjoy this thing that is happening. That's what happens when you think win-win. You're thinking about how do I win and this other guy wins. The second one is win-lose. This is like one of the worst paradigms because you're thinking of how it's going to be good for you and bad for the customer. So you don't even care how the customer feels, which is customer care in the first place. That means you should be grieving with the customer. Imagine you are on the same team with the customer. What will you be thinking? How can we both win? The third paradigm is even a more drastic paradigm. It's called lose-win. In this case, you lose so that the customer can win. Now, when people cannot get win-win, when win-win is not possible, I always advise people go for lose-win, compromise. That's what this third paradigm is called. It's called compromise. Let the other person win, you lose. Let the person see that you're not selfish. Let the person see that you're considerate, right? With that, the person can bend much later, some other time. So that's what happens in lose-win paradigm. The fourth one is lose-lose. Now, the closest example to this is one story about 2 women that came to King Solomon one time, all right? And one had slept over her baby and killed her baby, and the other one, her baby was still alive. So they brought the baby to Solomon. And they told Solomon, hey, King Solomon, we have this. And the first woman, who was not the real mother of the baby, said, kill the baby, kill the baby. The Solomon told them, bring me a sword. I'm going to divide this baby into 2. Since both women are claiming the baby, we'll give them 1 part each. The one that did not own the baby said, divide the baby. That one wanted to lose and let this other woman lose. All right, that's how lose-lose works. Lose-lose is like a callous position. It's a point where, yes, you don't mind losing, but you, customer, you must lose too. So you frustrate the customer. As in, it's mind-boggling. I've actually seen some people, I've heard some customer care representatives discuss how they can frustrate a customer. Yee, how? I don't understand. As in, you actively discuss how you can frustrate one. I nearly confronted that one. It took the grace of God not to just get physical. I said, how can you be discussing this kind of a thing? How you can inflict stress on a customer? You guys are wicked. The devil is your father. So that's lose-lose. The 5th one is win. You see, this is another callous paradigm. Why? Because in this place, you're just thinking about yourself. All I do is win, win, win. And I don't care what anybody does, but me, I just want to win. All right? That's what happens in the 5th case. And then the 6th one is win-win or no deal. What does this mean? Very simple. It just means that we try to both find a way that we can win, including a third alternative. So, for example, if I want to watch a movie and my significant other wants to watch something else or wants to do something else, we'll find what is the best way we can combine those two, like a third alternative in the middle or stuff like that. That's win-win. Or we decide, you know what, if we can both be happy, then let's not do it for the sake of our happiness. That's another good paradigm of human interaction. You see, when you're faced with a customer, these are the 6 paradigms with which you can relate with that customer. And the customer is a human being that has emotions. So you need to start thinking win-win first. That's when the discussion starts. When win-win cannot work, then we cannot say, okay, lose-win. How can this customer still win while we lose? Because in the main thing, in the whole gist, what you should be thinking about is how can the customer win? How can the customer win? Do you get? So that's number 4. And number 5 says you should seek to understand, then to be understood. What happens there is very simple. Diagnose before you prescribe. Listen to the customer. Listen. See, we can't say this enough. Decide to listen to people first and hear them out before you decide to start prescribing, and then listen empathetically. Let empathy be part of your listening process. What does empathic listening mean? It means you listen actively. At that point in time, you stop everything you're doing. You don't interrupt the speaker. You are actively listening to what he's saying. Then the next one says listen appreciatively. What does that mean? It means you're conscious of your body language. As the customer is making the complaint, as the person in front of you is talking, you need to be conscious of the body language you're giving. Why? Because that's another thing for communication class. They said that when human beings are communicating, it's only 38% of what we are communicating that comes out in words. The remaining 62% comes out in body language and nonverbal communication. So what you are saying is just 38%. What you are not saying is 62%. What you are not saying is more than what you're saying. So you need to be careful about your body language, all right? And be watchful for what you give out, the kind of vibes you give out. So someone is talking to you, you're tingling your hair, you're doing like this. You're no. You need to be appreciative about the listening to the person. All right. The third is listen attentively. You pay attention to what the person is saying and what the person is not saying. There's no time to talk about this. And then the fourth is listening altruistically. What's altruistic listening? Put yourself in the person's shoe. Feel what he's feeling. Don't make the conversation boring. All right. When the person is talking, don't make him look like a fool. I remember one story. It wasn't a story, it was a real life story, all right, that happened in GM. GM is General Motors. A customer bought something. He bought a car. He bought a car, a GM car, all right? And then after he bought the car, he drove to an ice cream shop, bought vanilla ice cream, drove home. He didn't have any problems. The next day, he drove to the ice cream shop again. He parked, bought vanilla ice cream, entered his car, drove, and went home. By the third day, he drove to the ice cream shop and parked and ordered for a chocolate ice cream. As they gave him his chocolate ice cream and he entered the car, the thing refused to start. He tried everything. After a while, the thing started. He went home. The next day, he bought vanilla. It worked. The other day, he ordered for chocolate again. The car refused to start. He said, my village people at it. So he called GM dealership. And this thing is online. You can find it. You can find the story online. It's very available. So he called GM dealership immediately. I said, Oga, I have this, my car I bought from you people. Brand new car. How is it that anytime I buy vanilla ice cream, my car will start? But if I buy chocolate ice cream, my car will not move. This was a good place to gather all the customer staff and start laughing at the customer. Who is this village man? Wait, you think our car likes vanilla ice cream better than chocolate, or our car is a chocolate fan or something? No, GM people knew better than that. So what did they do? Very simple. They encouraged the customer to, they asked them some certain questions. And the next day, they sent one of their representatives to go with this guy. So they went with this guy to buy vanilla ice cream. There was no problem. The next day, the representative also went, they bought chocolate, and the car refused to start. That was when the representative opened the bonnet of the engine and then started troubleshooting the engine. They now discovered that there was a component in the engine called vapor lock that needed about 30 minutes or so once it's off. And that 30 minutes was the same time frame that it took to prepare vanilla. So vanilla came out longer time period than chocolate. Chocolate came out in 15 minutes. So by the time you come back, the vapor lock is not ready to open. But when you buy vanilla, the clients could not have, known that, and GM too would not have known that until they put themselves in the customer's shoe, and they really tried to understand the customer's problem. So don't think all customers are foolish. When customers come to complain, there is a reason for every complaint. No complaint is foolish. I always tell customer care people, no complaint is foolish. I used to use Airtel many years ago. When I bought my line, that was about 2011. So I had this Airtel line. Now, I noticed that then it was BlackBerry Bold that I was using. I noticed that this is my Bold 5. Every time I recharge, I used to recharge 1,000 then for 3 gig. I remember. As soon as I finished recharging, in the next 10, 15 minutes, my 3 gig is gone. I did it again, it went. I did it again, it went. I called Airtel customer service. I told them, please, every time I recharge, my recharge goes. I don't know what's causing it. They said, hold on, let's transfer you. They transferred me to somebody. The person transferred me to another person. I explained. The person transferred me to another person. I explained. They will say, we'll get back to you. I cut the call. The things continued happening. I called back again. I was like, what's happening? The person said, sorry, we have run trace on your line. We can't see anything. We can't. And in fact, what now annoyed me was the last person I called. The last customer care rep I called. As I called that one was so interested. They give them time that they must handle all complaints. all complaints must be treated within 1 minute, 30 seconds. So because there are a lot of people trying to call, so you cannot engage, they don't like hiring staff. So if they were hiring staff, they will have enough time, but they don't like hiring staff. So they give them targets. You must finish in 1 minute, 30 seconds, maximum 1 minute, 45 seconds. So that was what this guy was trying to do. You could sense that he was literally, in fact, at a point in time, he literally told me, sir, I am about to get to my limit, my time limit with you. As in, I don't understand. You have not solved my problem. You are telling me about a time limit. I decided to port my line. I walked to an Etisalat shop, gave them my SIM. I told them I wanted to port. They gave me another SIM. Good, I got the SIM. I started it after 2 days. Then it takes 2 days to port. After 2 days, I recharged the SIM again, and then the whole 3 gig went. I did a smaller one. The whole thing went out. My village people. They followed me from Airtel to Etisalat. I called Etisalat. And I'm like, hey, I'm having this. They told me, hold on, let's run a check on your line. So they ran a check and continued running it. She didn't see anything. She told me, hold on, I'm going to get this problem solved. So she called somebody that had a higher access to look through my data consumption pattern. And then they discovered that there was one particular IP address that thing was defaulting to. And then she did a search again to find out which app uses that IP address. And they found out there was one app on my phone. I made it just to be, sir, do you use this app? I said, yes. He said, delete it now immediately. That's the app that has been consuming all your data. Immediately I deleted that app. That was the end of the problem. Put yourself in the customer's shoes. Listen to the customer with an intent to solve the problem. That's what empathetic listening involves. Encourage the person to talk. Wow, really? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, right? Just don't sit there like a robot. And then the sixth is synergize. Learn how to use people's differences creatively. See, people will always be different from you. Customers will be different. There are some customers that are learned that will make your work easy. There are the ones that are not learned that will stress your life. There are the ones that look like they are from hell. You need to learn how to accommodate all of them and use their differences. Some of those customers that are from hell are the customers that will give you the biggest mileage as a person. Why? Because number one, they are very loud. So if you handle them well and treat them well and get them on your side, that their loudness will work for you. I have stories like that, but time will not permit me to tell you that. Then the last one is the balanced self-renewal. You sharpen the soul. Physical, spiritual, mental, very point in time, social, emotional. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. All right? So that's how it works. These are the 7 habits of highly effective customer care people. And then at this point, I'll just mute my mic so I can take questions and also look at the chat box to see if somebody has dropped any question for me. So Banke.
Thank you so much. Oh, that was a good one. Thank you for that. Thank you, thank you. I also enjoyed the story about the GIG and the vanilla and the chocolates. Nice one. You're actually very right. I can actually imagine a normal customer service doing that, laughing at the customer and saying stuff like, "Oh, what do you mean? Do you mean our car is okay with the vanilla and chocolate stuff?" That's a good story, by the way. Thank you. That was beautiful. And so this is the time right now for question and answer. If you have any challenges, you're a customer service representative and executive for customer service, this is the right time for questions. The chat room is open right now for your questions. Or if you have a question, you can raise your hand. So if you're allowed to take okay, I'm watching out for questions. Nothing so far. Okay, while we wait for questions, I have something I would like you to talk about, Mr. Ugochukwu. Can I go ahead?
Okay, yeah, good, great, go ahead.
All right, thank you. So I just want to know, so what do you do if as a customer, I think you already mentioned it earlier anyway, but I really want to buttress it a whole lot. What do you do as a customer service representative, executive? You have this person who has been disturbing you possibly, and the person also asks this thing. The person can't communicate well. The person is not communicating well with you, and you have the duty of responding, or attending to that person. What do you do at a particular point in time? The person is not communicating well, not really in terms of English, but the person is not explaining the main thing that the person needs you to solve for him or her. So what is your role as a customer representative? What do you need to do to solve that?
All right, now,
You
if
get
you
that?
remember the first slide we started, well, that was the second slide. When we talked about that customer care is about grieving with the customer. So now pretend that that customer is your child. If the customer cannot communicate, if your child is feeling a pain and your child cannot communicate, what do? You keep pressing, you keep asking questions. You don't get tired. And if you still think that you cannot get the problem, you escalate it. You look for someone else that you think has the problem. So you take the child to the hospital so that they can run a scan, or they can run some kind of x-ray or something to find out maybe there's something the child cannot, you keep escalating it to the point where you get a solution. So what I've seen is that most people, when they cannot understand somebody, they just abandon the person at that point in time. That's not right. What you keep doing is, even if you cannot understand, there must be somebody within your organization that can communicate with the person. So you just keep escalating it till you get to the point where you can get solution to the person's challenge.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ugochukwu. I don't know if anybody would
Right.
like to share a particular experience you had as a customer service, something very challenging. If you can share right now so that we all can learn and see what you did. You can share with us what happened, what you did during the when that thing happened. Anybody, any of our participants wants to share? Okay, Patrick, you can go ahead. Patrick.
Okay, Patrick, you're raising your hand. We'll see you. Please unmute,
Yes.
Patrick. Kindly
Okay,
unmute,
okay.
Patrick.
All right, doing that right now.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Patrick.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. It's very, very insightful and very, very interesting. And the question I want to ask is that we have some difficult customer. So how do you handle such difficult customer? Because it happens, I found myself working where we handle human beings. There's some human beings that we have, go extra mile to ensure that you try to attend to his needs, even though it's beyond you. You try to look for somebody that can, attend to him. But with all that, you see, find out that the customer is very difficult. So how do you handle such people?
Okay, so that should be one of the sessions in this series, handling difficult customers. So I'm sure if you keep your ears on the ground, one day in this series, Rekrut is going to mail you about how to deal with difficult customers, because it's a whole session on its own. But what I can say is this: the first thing you must decide is that you will not get upset, because the natural response to difficult customers is to get angry. And the moment you get angry, you have lost it. You've lost the customer, you've lost the opportunity to serve, you've lost the opportunity to grieve with the customer, you've lost everything, all right? So it begins with a decision that I will not get angry. I will not get angry. I will not get annoyed. Once you can make up your mind and push yourself to the point where you cannot get annoyed, everything is breeze. So you will get to talk about all of that in this, because one of the things that makes us not understand people is impatience. And impatience comes when we have made a decision in our mind that this person is not communicating well, this person is being difficult, is trying to frustrate me and everything. So that's your antenna just rises to say, no. But then when you can suppress that and you can tell yourself that, no, I'm not going to get angry. I'm going to treat this customer like I treat family. And I'm going to just be very, very patient with this customer. You'll be fine. You'll be very, 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 very fine. Okay, so Tife has a question. Tife, please go ahead.
Okay, Tife.
Please unmute Tife. Tife has a question. So thank you, Patrick. Just watch out for that session, please.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right.
Okay, so I actually think she's just doing a thumbs up.
Okay, that doesn't look like a thumbs up. It looks like a raised hand. It looks like a raised
All right, Tife,
finger.
are you there? Are you here? You can go ahead with your question, Tife.
Okay, so while we wait for Tife, maybe Tife is trying to
So
gather liver. Let's
yes, I also have one more I would like to ask you. Is it okay
okay.
for a customer service executive to be like to tell a customer that I don't. Oh, sorry, Tife. So sorry about that.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tife.
Oh,
Hi
thanks for
Tife.
today.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is this. If I'm to be a customer, okay, I go to buy some things, I'm also a customer, and I get there, I'm like, oh, how is this product? Have you used it? How does it taste? Let's say food. And the person is telling me, I've not used it before. I get discouraged and sometimes I don't buy it again because I really want to know I want to know your own observation or what you got from it. Okay, now me being a customer service representative, if someone asks me, oh, how is this product? Have you used it before? I don't know if it has to do with my own mentality, if I'm just the one thinking about it, because I can't use all the products we sell and I can't use some, even if there are some I can, it's probably because of my skin type, let's say beauty brand now, because of my skin type, or is expensive for me to use. Is it just my mentality thinking of it as a customer now going to buy something, or it's normal that as a customer representative you should have used a particular product that you sell so you can have broad review of it?
Okay, thank you very much. In fact, I had this case with the pharmacist that sells drugs, where I buy drugs from my kids. Now, my kids, I don't know where they come from really, but they just believe that every drug must be sweet. And once a drug is not sweet, you have just wasted your money. I have bought a particular drug, I think 4,500. The moment they tasted it, they just decided they were not going to take the drug again. I tried forcing them, all those things that they thought was cover their nose, do this, do that. I only ended up getting them to vomit. So I discovered that there was this particular pharmacist that whenever I go to his place and I want to buy a drug, he will tell me this one is sweet, this one is not sweet, this one, okay, how do you know? Have you drank all of them? Do you know? But what I discovered was this. The moment you buy a particular drug, he takes your number down, he calls you, or when you come back, he asks you, how was your experience with that last drug you bought? Was it sweet? Did you taste it? Did your child like it? Did they vomit it? Did they? By that, he gets feedback from one person, gets feedback from that person. Okay, no, this drug, cefixime, is very sweet. Okay, great. The other one, it was like bitter leaf. In fact, as my son vomited it, I tasted it. I could not. He took feedback. Okay, this one is not sweet. And that was how he did till he got feedback on all the drugs he was selling. See, customer care is a lot of work, and you have to be deliberate about putting in the amount of work you need to be able to serve the customer the way the customer wants. So I'm just going to tell you, Tife, put in the work. It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to task you. You're going to have to call people. You're going to have to check up on people who, who have what's the right word now? Who have experience with that product. So if somebody comes to buy, maybe it's a supermarket and somebody buys a particular brand and says, okay, this is it, this is it. Try to find out what their experience is. In fact, sometimes you don't even need to wait till they go with the product. As they're buying it, sorry, is this your first time buying the product? No, I've used this product. Oh, great. So how has been an experience with the product? It's very good. Oh, it's good. This is that is that is that. That way you're building knowledge about the product without having to use the product for yourself. So I think that will help you, Tife. Okay. As somebody is asking, I'm trying to just scroll through the question.
Yes,
Please, if you want to
Eniafe.
ask a question, Eniafe, yes. Eniafe is asking, delivery companies hardly deliver on time. So how do I, as a business owner, get this solved without rubbishing the delivery guys and not having a refund issue with my clients? I am sorry, it has to come in different lines. It's okay, Eniafe. This is it. One of the reasons why I owned a logistic company was that delivery companies were messing me up. I actually was running a, a fresh farm foods business. So this is it. We get to farms and we buy products from them, poultry products, birds, what do you call it, anything. We just buy those products, farm fresh. And then we deliver. So I got a delivery guy, and I noticed that that one delivery guy could not meet up with demand and everything, because sometimes Oga will say he's sick, he's taking his wife to the hospital or something, and that day will not do any delivery. So you know what, I said, okay, you know what, let me have a second delivery guy so that we'll be sure that delivery is covered. And by having a second delivery guy, you know what? These two delivery guys were not really now busy because they were over requirements, but I needed them because delivery was the main, it was the mainstay of our business. Our own market's USP, our unique selling proposition was not that we just had farm fresh product. We are delivering to your doorstep and at no fee, really. Free delivery, all right? So we needed delivery because that was, I mean, if we are not giving delivery, that was the market edge we had. We didn't have any other edge from the other person that was selling. So I now discovered that, okay, these two guys were not very busy. And I said, okay, you know what we're going to do is that we're going to now start outsourcing them to help other merchants when they are free. So after we receive orders for the day, I'll keep one to take care of our orders, and I'll outsource one to one e-commerce company like that, very close to us. And now I'll be helping with deliveries and all that. And before I knew it, there was demand. So I added another bike. So that was how that logistics now started, as another company that was now serving my company as an outsourced partner. I was also serving other companies. So logistics will always be a problem. But what I would say is this: try to see how you can handle your own logistics. One of the cardinal principles of outsourcing is that you do not outsource any core process that is core to your deliverables. You do not outsource it because you can't allow that core thing in the hands of an outsider. You can't control the outsider, they are going to mess you up. So any core process that is very integral to your service delivery, you cannot outsource it. You have to look for ways to handle it in-house, because there you have more control, there you have everything really. And then you can determine the results. So you have to start looking at how you can imbibe the delivery process, unless you want to now start partnering with organizations like GoCada, OPay. I have not used them before, but some people that use them say they are reliable. So you might want to also look in that direction. Thank you. So let me see if I have any other question here before we call it a day. Okay, so there is one from Isaac. I have a question. Isaac, please, what's your question? Isaac, you just said you have a question, but you've not typed it out. So you could ask that to us. Ibabuchi Choma is saying customer care doesn't only go to customers. How would you handle a colleague who doesn't value care? Very, very interesting. Okay, so because I don't want to go into this in details, this is going to be one of the other sessions we're going to have much later, dealing with difficult colleagues, because it's called internal customer care. There's external customer service, which goes to outsiders, and then there's internal customer care, which goes to colleagues. It has to do with things like teamwork, has to do with things like respect and all that. So it's another course on its own. But basically, if you see a colleague that doesn't value care, well, it's a very simple thing. The colleague probably has issues that I cannot know from this small line of questions you just typed. So what I'm going to say you do is very simple. Try to find out what is making that colleague not value care. Try to ask questions to probe and find out what's at the base of that bad behavior. Sometimes bad behaviors have a base. They call them triggers. So you want to know what the trigger or what the foundational point of that bad behavior is, so that you can know the right action to take to deal with that. So Ibabuchi Choma would say, find out what is wrong with the person, find out why the person doesn't value care, and then maybe when we know that, then we can answer the question very detailed. So the next question says, what is your take on refund when demanded by customers from hell? Especially when you've done everything to help. Okay, personally, I don't like calling them customers from hell, because once they are customers, they are from heaven, they are God sent to us. The thing is this, when a customer demands for a refund, there are two ways a refund can happen. A refund might not be in the policy of the company, but I have personally gone out of my way to refund customers so that there will not be problem. In fact, in a bank, because I discuss with customers, I assured them that, okay, this charge will not be applied to you, this charge will not be applied to you. I even wrote to head office in one of those cases to waive the charge. I got the waiver of the charges and all that
it was boldly written, and on the customer's account, when you open it, it pops up on in your face. But still, somebody went to charge the customer. And when you charge income like that, sometimes you need executive approval to waive it. So depending on the magnitude of the amount, you might even need the MD of the bank to sign for you to reverse the money, because the bank has received it and declared it as part of their profit. So you now want to reduce the bank's profit, guy. So most times when I look at it, and it is very tall, like this guy will say, it's a very long thing. I'll just use my money. How much is there? The charge is 20,000. Okay, no problem. Once I receive my salary, I just credit the guy's account. Reversal of so and so charges. Pair. Everybody's happy. Me, I'm happy. I have rest. I can sleep. You two can sleep, and everyone is fine. So, and that's the thing. That's lose win. Yes, I lost, but in the end, I win because this customer gives me a referral, or the customer does something for me, or something like that. In fact, it's time for me to tell. I could tell you some of my most wicked customers that we became friends, that our friendship even transcends banking and all that. Okay, so let me. Isaac is saying, how do you handle rude customers? That the only way to handle them is to be a little rude to them. It means you have not learned from what we said. The first is proactive. Being proactive means that you do not let somebody define your behavior. That's what you don't let things happen to you. You happen to things. You don't let somebody make you rude when rudeness is not. You're not proactive. For those of you that are Christians, you hear Jesus say, if somebody slaps you, do not slap back, but turn the other cheek. Why? Because the natural response is to slap back. The proactive response is to show the person you are bigger by showing him the other cheek. And say, no, this slap is not even the way forward, right? But in case you are looking for an outlet, you can give me, I can take it. And beyond that, so that's what, he also said, if somebody asks you to go 1 mile, say, no, go 2 miles with the person, because he's forcing you. He says a soldier, what soldiers used to do those days was, whenever they see somebody and they have a heavy load, the soldiers have a heavy load, or they have a bag, or even they just want to operate, they just give the person the bag, oh yeah, carry my bag, follow me. The person will start following you, say, I'm going 1 mile. Jesus said, when the person takes you 1 mile, don't stop there, go the extra mile. That's where the word extra mile comes from. Say, let's go an extra mile with the person. Why? Because I must show you that I'm greater than you. See, you are not going to define me. You want 1 mile? No, I'm greater than you. I can go 2 miles with you. If you go, I can go 3. As in, I can tire you out in this bad thing you want to do. That's what he's telling them. So if you still think the best way to deal with a rude customer is to be rude to them, you've missed the lesson on proactivity. That's another lesson for another day. The next question is, people are the greatest as, okay, that's banker. I have worked with a customer care rep and telesales. The company wants us to lie most times. Hey, you cannot lie to your customers. 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 Oh, thank you. Okay, how do I handle time limit giving? Okay, so I feel that most of these questions that are coming up, what we'll do so that we don't, the session was supposed to last just 1 hour because, and it's a Saturday, we don't want to make it too long so that people don't start leaving this session and start getting bored. Just do a mail to Banker or Rekrut. There's a Rekrut mail that mailed you. You can respond to them with the mail. I want to assure you, we will give answers to every question that comes so that we don't stay beyond the time that is allotted. So Banker, from me to you, this is me saying I'm done.
Thank you so much. I'm so sure we all learned a lot from this section. I have learned a whole of myself. One thing I actually want to pick out of this section is what you said earlier about being proactive. About the fact that you don't let things happen to you, you happen to things. That was really, really amazing for me. Thank you so much for sharing, Mr. Ugochukwu Onyeka. This is a very nice session for me, and I'm very sure our participants also can agree with me on that. And guys, please watch out. This is just like we said at the beginning of this session. This is like the first series out of a whole lot of package that we have for you. So please watch out for us. I already attached our social media addresses link and on the chat right now, so you can connect with us through that means. Also, we are going to be sending you emails for the next series we're going to be having on this particular topic of having an amazing and excellent customer service experience. I'm very sure that you this is a time well spent for you. Yes, we know it's a Saturday and we understand the Owambe and everything happening on Saturday. We understand that, but I know you've learned. I know you enjoyed. You had a swell time here. I'm so sure about that. So just please watch out. We are going to give you a feedback on when next we are going to be having this session also. So Mr. Agochukwu, thank you so much once again. We really appreciate your time.
Right?
Thank you. That was a good one.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you. All right, thank you everybody once again. So we are going to get in touch with you. You can reach us via our LinkedIn. We are on LinkedIn. We are on social media. Okay, somebody's asking me a question. All right, when will you have recruitment for those interested? Oh yes, you can please follow us on any of our social media platform. I attached some links here, so you can follow us on any of them, and we're going to get back to you. We also have a WhatsApp platform also. You can reach us via the WhatsApp platform for more information that you have. Thompson, do you want to say the same thing, or have I answered your question? You are raising your hand. I will send you the mail today. You're going to get a mail from us today. Thank you everybody for your time. Really appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday and have fun with your Owambe also. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Thompson. Good one. Thank you. Okay, Labake, because you all registered for this particular session, that's why I'm saying I'm going to contact you. That means we have your email address. I've seen the one you dropped here, but we have your email address, so we are still going to keep in touch with you. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.